The seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes, welcome to Post-Match Pish. My name is Boyce. I'm joined by Terry Robb, and hopefully Liam Greenlaw will be joining us from Canada shortly. I know he was probably watching the game, Terry, at the Vancouver Supporters Club. He could have got, he might have got lured into a couple of whiskies. Who knows, mate? You never know what's been going on with Big Liam, but he's welcome to join us as and when he sees fit, because he is a Maverick. Speaking of Mavericks, we were against a couple the night, Terry Robb, at Paradise. We welcomed the Real Madrid team that are the all-conquering sort of side, the most dominant force in the Champions League over the last decade. And you know what? We went toe-to-toe with them tonight, guys, that first half. I think we played Real Madrid in a style that was befitting of all the things we love about Ange Postecoglou's philosophy. We played them the way we played at the weekend, for example, albeit you don't get to go 3-0 for half-time against decent opposition. That's just not how it works. But I tell you what, we can hold our heads high up with that. What we didn't realise was the absolute drain that was putting on the players to keep up that level of performance against a Real Madrid team that just makes you have to think that wee bit more, makes you have to run that extra 10 yards every time you're closing it down, just makes you have to work that extra 20% of what you're used to. And by come the second half, my takeaway is I think we ran out of steam, probably a wee bit of belief and a wee bit of ideas, but that won't be the case against every team in this group. It will only be the case against Real Madrid. Welcome aboard the Boise Bus. It's brilliant to have you on. I know we're competing with other pods right now because I know they all go live at the same time. Listen, I've got a bed to get to, right? And so does Terry. We've all got a job tomorrow. So unfortunately, there's only so many hours in a day. So sometimes you just need to clash with the times. But yeah, if you are watching, do hit the like button, do hit subscribe. If you want to become a Boise Bus member, all that carry on. Terry, what's your takeaway from the game? It was 3-0 in the end. But like I say, I think there's still a lot of positives to be taken from it tonight.
I'll not lie to you. I'm got it. I'm absolutely got it because first half hour we were well in there. I felt there was a little bit of a drop off just as the first half was coming to a close. You could start to see Madrid were starting to creep a lot more into it. At half time, I was exhausted, and it was just my stomach was just churning from the first whistle to the last. And funny, the only time I actually settled was whenever we went behind, because I felt that's the way this game was sort of supposed to be. But when you were in it and when you've seen how well we were playing at the start, we were creating really good chances. When you actually think, you know what, there's a chance we could get something here. That's when I started to get even more nervous, because you're starting to think we can actually pull this off here. We're creating chances.
Aye.
We're playing the way the manager said he was going to play. We're doing it our way. We're doing all the things we did on Saturday, as you said, the quick throw-ins, the quick frees, all the things that have worked well for us this season. The only thing we didn't do that we've done all season was take our chances. We just weren't clinical enough. You're talking about the battery there and the battery draining. I reckon if we take one of those chances, that just automatically puts another 20 minutes of life into that battery, those legs. It gives you something to fight for, the adrenaline. You could just see, I watched a little bit of a game earlier. I didn't see all of it, but it was the Chelsea game. And Zagreb were big underdogs in that game, but they got their chance early on and they took it. And it just gave them something to hang on to and put life into those legs. But my old lad came in. He came in at 53 minutes today. And obviously, Real scored in 55, and he sat and cursed and huffed and puffed the whole way through the second half. Told me how shite they were, and I said, "Look, honestly, you've got to go back and you've got to watch the first half." We were right in it. We were right in up until halftime. Ran out of legs. We've learned a lesson in that at this level, every time you give the ball away, you're going to have to work so hard to get it back again. Every time you get an opportunity, you've got to take it, because these guys are going to take theirs whenever it comes along. I was walking around the house halftime, doing my dishes, chest puffed out, very, very proud of the team. I'd probably be grand again tomorrow when I step back and look at the whole match. Just a little bit deflated in the way it sort of petered out towards the end, and just disappointed for the players, to be honest, because I thought they put in so much effort and they actually played really, really well in the first half. They didn't get what they deserved, and just a bit of a damp one too for the supporters who, as they always do, went out. And great atmosphere before the game, great atmosphere during the game. I think just when that second goal went in, although the fans did stay, they did continue to sing. It just felt like that was somebody had popped a balloon, and that was just lights out at that stage for us.
I think there was an aspect to that, Tim. I think you've summed up everything pretty well there, to be fair.
Go to bed then.
Well, that's us done, mate. Cheers for that.
See ya.
But I'll tell you one thing, people could talk about reality biting and a good wee pun on words there, Bob McBob. Do you know what I mean? You got your mojo back, son. Good to see you, pal. You know what I mean? Good to see people find their bollocks after a few days under rocks, mate. You know what I mean? But what I will say is reality does bite, and that's not a pun on Real Madrid. But the reality is, right, that team is an elite team for a reason, Terry, right? But I tell you what, it proved. See, even the first 40 minutes tonight, we're living in fantasy land. The fact that we're watching a Celtic team from 12 months ago getting pumped out this very competition in the qualifiers by Midfield to now, with all the changes that have been made, now going toe-to-toe with Real Madrid. And albeit, I would say it was 40 minutes. I think it's generous to say there was a spell in the second half. I know Maeda had the opportunity. We're going to talk about the chances we had. But for me, it was up to about 40 minutes. But that 40 minutes, I think, normally is longer against better opposition. You can go 90 against your nearest rivals in this country, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's not a problem. But what Real Madrid do is they zap their life. There he is. Yes, mate.
How you doing?
Good to have you on, Liam, mate. I'll come to you in 2 seconds, pal. Brilliant for you to join us, mate. Awesome. But there's so much to be realistic about. And that's what I want to talk about tonight, because reality bites. I think it was Mark Kearney had said on one of the Regan shows, he says, look, I don't like being pessimistic about what I predict the score to be, but reality bites. And I'm not going to tell you and sit here and tell you that I think we're going to do this, and this in the Champions League, because genuinely, I think once we get there is another level to it. That's fine. But I tell you what, see when we look at that performance, I'll come to you, Liam, in the first 40 minutes. Well, okay, reality may have bitten that second half, and do you know what? It doesn't taste good. But it did bite, and fair enough. But I tell you what, see that first 40 minutes against the champions of Europe, the best club side in Europe, and they've dominated for the last decade in particular. But this is a side that undeniably is the best team in Europe right now. See, for 40 minutes tonight, we went toe-to-toe with them, Liam. And that's not reality biting. That's fantasy land stuff. For Ange to have taken us from, really dark reality this time last year to fantasy land, and then a wee bit of reality. What, Real Madrid beat you? I think we need to go, let's see how the rest of this group pans out. Because if we can get to that level we were for the 40 minutes, which will be for an extended period against other teams in this group, by the way, because they won't drain us the same way Real Madrid did, Liam, I think we've got a lot to be excited about this Champions League campaign still.
I think we do. I thought that was an incredible performance today. I thought in the first half we did a lot of things really good.
Yep.
We were cutting them home. I tell you what, I mean, Hatate's got to be on their radar, or any of the big teams' radars.
Right.
Some of the balls that he was pinging about in that first half that were unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
There was one about the 10, 15 minute.
The volley.
Cross from Juranovic's side. It was in the air. He picks it out the air and volleys it across the jaw, and it's right on his feet. It was an unbelievable piece, and he had some fantastic passes that were just great ways of creating space. And he's in the midfield with Modric. So I am very optimistic about that today. I came out. It wasn't that sort of like your heart's thinking, "Oh, here we come again." Wheels have come off at the end of it. No, at the end of it, I figured, okay, well, that's us showing that we still have that bit of a gulf, right? That's what that extra $200 million in players gets you,
It does, but do you know what I felt in the first half, Terry, right? I felt in the first half, see the midfield, I want to talk about our midfield, because Callum McGregor to me looked the fittest in the Celtic squad. See, the second half, he was the one I always felt, he still seems to be playing at the same intensity, whilst we may have slowed off a wee bit. But see that first half, O'Reilly, there was a moment in the first few minutes of the game where he took his first touch with his left foot. He's kind of done a step over to take it and it just broke away from the Real Madrid player. And I thought, wow, he's at it. Then, as Liam says, there's moments of Tati's playing balls, balls above waist height, and he's just spraying them on the volley out wide. I think it was to Greg Taylor. And then there was other moments where he was just taking touches, turning one way, turning the other, and taking Real Madrid Real Madrid players out the game. I felt he looked extremely comfortable at that level. And you need to remember who they're up against in midfield. A masterclass of Toni Kroos, Luka Modric. I mean, these guys are a joke. And what's the other boy they brought in, the €100 million signing to replace Casemiro? I mean, Shunimi or something, I think he's called. I mean, this is tough opposition. Do you know what? I think our midfield three, one's a youth product, the other two cost under £2 million. I think that is a special central midfield trio that we've got there. Now, if there was any debate before, they 100% for me, that is the preferred midfield three, Terry. I think there's so much quality in there. And Cal McGregor, I think at times was putting in the boot a wee bit, 50-50 balls he was entitled to go for, but maybe just going, it needs to be me who's that guy. But I thought O'Reilly and Atati's craft and guile tonight was absolutely outstanding. That is a midfield trio. I think that's Champions League quality, Terry. I'm convinced.
Yeah, I mean, all you wanted to see was the guys go out and play football the way they can, and I think they did that. Some of the stuff, I mean, Hatate plays a lot of high tariff passes where high risk, high reward, and sometimes they don't come off, and sometimes he can't put you into trouble. But some of the passing from him last game against Rangers, the game against Dundee United, and again tonight, some of his passing, short passing, long passing, even a volley from a throw in, some of that stuff's excellent, as you say, O'Reilly. Again, still willing to try the things that he tries against a lot lesser opposition, and McGregor, as you say, taking on the responsibility. Thought McGregor was excellent. Thought he was just so unlucky with that effort that came off the post.
Oh, I know, man.
I'm just reliving some of these chances through my head here, and just wondering how on earth they didn't go in.
We'll get to the chances. The midfield three, though, I think are the real highlights, Terry. Hatate, O'Reilly. I mean, these guys are under £2 million. You watch them play their first ever Champions League game. It's against the holders of the title, the European title. And I thought they looked very, very comfortable. Okay, second half, maybe their energy levels had dropped, whatever. But what I was really intrigued by was ability-wise, bravery on the ball, confidence-wise. That excites me, Terry.
Yeah, it was impressive. I mean, if you think again, we say it nearly every post-match pitch. Matt O'Reilly was playing for MK Dons in League One. Do you know what I mean? And Hattati, he come late into professional football. He was playing university level or something like that. So look, as you say, those two guys in particular, I think they'll only learn from tonight's experience and the fact that they were able to go out there, they were able to go toe to toe for 35, 40 minutes and play the way their manager wanted them to. Yeah, I think there are so many positives we can take out of the game just once that little air of disappointment lifts. I thought Giakoumakis was superb tonight. I thought the Brazilian defender Militao, he just did not want to know. He didn't know what to do with him at all.
I love that. We can talk about the upfront options that we've got, Liam. Because at times, it'd be easy to panic, and it would have been easy to have brought Kyogo on earlier than what we did tonight. But you've also got to protect him long term because he's such a crucial part of this team, this squad. And squad's the key word now. It's not just about a first team, Liam, is it? It's about a squad. And Giakoumakis tonight, again, brought problems to the party for Real Madrid that it took them a while to try and get used to. Again, I think he was probably someone's second half who he wasn't quite able, even after the 15-minute break that you get, he wasn't quite able to get back up to that intensity that he'd maybe shown first half, which tells you how much your team busted their gut first half. And by the way, that is kudos to Real Madrid, because it just seemed to me like we were playing the same way as what we did against Rangers at the weekend. But what it turns out and it transpires is they took an extra 20-25% of fitness off us, or energy levels off us, zapping just by the amount of, see, just them keeping the ball at times. They're just making you have to work that extra bit more. And that eventually took its toll. But I thought Giakoumakis brings, he's the Joker card, isn't he? Liam, that's the best way to describe him. He's the Joker in the pack.
I was amazed at how many times I seen him coming back for the ball, and I'm looking for, there was good stuff being created in the midfield, and I look at, it's number 7. Number 7, it's Gio back there. Also, he's a bit of rough and tumble as well, but he's got that experience as well. But he's also got that likability where he's no snarling. They're giving each other a pat in the head and all that. Like, they know they're in for a rough game with him, but he's not a dirty player, and so you're going to get that out of him. So you can see there was respect for him out there for the other players as well. I think he's something special. I wouldn't have been surprised if Kyogo had went on for the whole second half, because I thought Gigi just ran his boots off.
Do you think he realised how good a chance he had 20 seconds in?
No,
he's laid it back to Abada. If he knew he was in such a good position, there's no way he's laying that off to anybody.
The flick itself, guys, right, is unbelievable for Giakoumakis. It's so nonchalant, and you go, and again, you talk about the midfield three showing their confidence and their swagger and being brave on the ball, Terry. When Giakoumakis is doing me back heel flicks like that against Real Madrid, firstly, you've got to go, okay, he feels he belongs on this stage. But the interesting aspect of it is he aware that centre half slipped behind him? Or is he already committed to doing the wee back heel? And he's like, I've got to see it through now, because if I try and control it, we might lose the move altogether. That's what I reckon. I think he'll be conscious the guy's slipped, but he's already positioned himself in front of the ball. Therefore, he's got to go. He's got to see out that flick. But how annoying is that? Because realistically, if he could have squared himself to the ball and he just cushions it, then his instep, it's a simple finish that for Giakoumakis. But I do love the fact he plays with that confidence, Terry, against the best in the world.
Yeah, absolutely no respect for reputations whatsoever.
No.
Brilliant, superb.
Terry, I think there's something to be said about that. I felt maybe when we look at chances that get created, we have to talk about Callum McGregor's. Now, brilliant work again. Matt O'Reilly involved again. Jota involved. I mean, when that ball comes, though, Callum McGregor, for me, hasn't scored enough goals probably in the last sort of 24 months, because he really did seem like, under Brendan Rodgers, for example, like, he's going to be your 10 to 15 guy a season now. Of course, he's not playing the exact same role he did under there. I get that. But the one thing I would say, I don't think his finishing is as good as it was. Well, he nearly shut me up, What an effort on the left peg. Inside of the boot. These are the fine margins, Terry. That miss isn't on Callum McGregor.
No, he did.
Giacomakis back flick, not back flip. His back flick. I'm gonna abscond him a wee. I think he's already committed to doing that once he's realised the boy behind him's fallen. Maeda's miss, critical.
Yeah.
And McGregor's is just ball hairs. It's unlucky. The other one is guilt-ridden. These are the fine margins at this level, Terry. The opposition thrive when you miss these opportunities. Whether it's unlucky, whether it's guilt-ridden, makes no odds to Real Madrid. They punish you for it.
Yeah, I mean, in his defence, he'd only been on 60 seconds, minute and a half, but it makes no odds. You get a chance like that, you've got to put it in the net. We've talked a few times about Maeda's lack of composure sometimes when opportunities present himself. I mean, he does still get goals. He works hard. He gets goals. There was one other one where perhaps felt we could have maybe at least worked the keeper a little bit harder, and it was one of these moves that we've now become accustomed to. So we had a quick free kick around about the 12-minute mark. I think it was Jens rolled it into O'Reilly, who then played it to Jota, who then played a superb crossfield pass for Abada, which put him in. And with Abada's sort of goal rate at the moment and finishing, you were kind of expecting we've got a real chance here, and he kind of just fluffed it and didn't get any power pace into it.
You thought the net was going to burst.
Yeah, it did, of course.
You did. You did.
Yeah, expected it to, and that's kind of because of the way the lad's been playing. But
yes,
again, just these little things that have been going for us recently, they just didn't go for us tonight.
Here's the positives though of all that. Then there is another opportunity which I've not mentioned, Liam. Liel Abada, for all of his brilliance in a Celtic jersey, right? This boy's 20 years old. He's about to turn 21 the next month or two, right? But he's 20 years old right now, and do you know what? He just shat the bed a wee bit. See, when it came, he's finished. He just shat it, right? And then that influenced him. Remember, he got the ball out wide about 2 minutes later, and it's like, whip it in, do what you would normally do, and he actually goes off the park. It doesn't even, the goalkeeper doesn't even have to gather it. It goes off, and he doesn't know if it's a cutback or a half attempted shot. And I went, poor lad, his confidence just gone. He'll come back bigger and better for that, by the way. Right? He will come back bigger and better. I think the sub at halftime was the correct one. I think get him out of there, because if he's not contributing against Real Madrid, unfortunately, you don't get to have another trial 45 minutes against them. It's got to be, what do we think will be more effective? Maeda's finish, watch it. I actually think I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to put it in the far corner. He's trying to sweep it, and he's came off his right boot first, and then hit his left leg, his left shin.
That's what's happened.
He's actually trying to be, I think, fucking too smart. Just make contact with it and it goes in. You don't have, there's a 90% chance it will go in if you get a clean contact. He's trying to, with the instep of his foot, glance it into the far post, and his standing leg is actually hit. So he obviously wasn't going to go in anyway. But I just think from those, just get a clean contact on it. Because even if the keeper saves it, the chances of them being able to actually keep it in their hands from that sort of range are slim. A guy like Maeda's reactions and pace, you'll be the one to nip in and stick in the rebound anyway, son. I think he's tried to be a bit clever. I agree. Time on the park, minimal at this point. But again, all that did was, for a team that probably hadn't started with the same intensity, pace, and asking as many questions, Real Madrid, actually, that was our most clear-cut chance of the game. If that goes in, does that boost the battery levels of the team? I think it does, Liam. Do you know what I mean?
I think the roof would have come off the building as well, and that would have drove the team on. I mean, that's one thing about our team, and that's one thing I hope Ange was trying to fix, was get us a wee bit more ruthless in the net, so that you only get 3 or 4 chances. Now, a lot of ours were early in the game. They don't come back later in the game. So, that's when, and I looked at Abada, and you're right, I felt a wee bit sorry for him as well. He looked every bit a 20-year-old player at that point. It looked like the occasion, he might be just a wee bit too much for him. There was a few players I thought that looked like it might be a wee bit too much for them. And then there was other players that I thought just looked absolutely just fearless in that. Hatate, O'Reilly. I thought Jens and Carson Vickers played actually quite well.
Me too.
You know, they targeted our fullbacks. I don't think Taylor or Juranovic. Juranovic had a couple of good runs with the ball, but he still getting the ball away. You know, like unpressured. You know, Taylor, to me, I think Taylor looked every bit as much as Taylor you can expect for Taylor in a game against Real Madrid. He's made a massive improvement, but at that level, he's not got the athleticism or the bravery I think required to turn a game like some of the other players he plays with. But
the two
fullbacks were exposed to real serious pace tonight. Vinicius on the left and Valverde on the right, really pacey. You're not going to come up against pace like that against anyone in the SPL. I don't think. It was just on a different level.
Aye. Yeah. You know, the other thing as well I noticed was Hatate. Hatate looks so much more comfortable on the ball in the midfield, where he doesn't have that fear of some like troglodyte like Lundstrom or something lunging up and trying to take his legs off him. You know, it's like what a difference that makes when you could see he had the confidence to turn and all that. That he wouldn't have some.
He looked a class act, Liam.
Trying to kill him, you know what I mean? Cripple him.
Liam, this boy was under £2 million that we've got in Real Hatate, and do you know what? See, towards the end of last season, there was a lot of talk, maybe that his instant impact, i.e., Hibs, Hearts, the Rangers game, and then it had been like, was there a flash in the pan there? Rio Hatate to me now. What? After the summer, he looks like he's got levels I still think to go through.
I think so.
We'll enjoy him while we've got him. I think he's a player who could go right to the top. Again, sometimes I just think of the bravery of players. I just think of the boldness that they've got, the confidence. See if you've got the confidence to do some of the things that Hatate did, particularly first half. I just go, he obviously knows he's on a stage he belongs. Now, there's over 300 on the Boise Bus watching live. Please do hit that like button, hit subscribe, keep it going. The bus is on fire just now. We all appreciate it. But the channel gets more traction if you all just hit that wee thumbs up at the bottom. So thank you. And we know there's other pods that you can watch at this time of night, but, you know, it's not a packet of plain crisps and a scoop of vanilla ice cream you're all after a slobber knocker of a match. Now, Terry, a couple of other things I want to talk about with you. I know that's you just going through your notes, mate, because I know how thorough you are when you watch the games. But see when we took off Abada for Maeda, okay, Maeda's missed the opportunity. But there's another winger I want to talk about in the last 10 minutes. Now, this can be viewed in a couple of different ways. Hacksaw comes on, the game's done by then. So it's sometimes easier to look good. But I think he looked the same as what he did in the previous encounter that he came on in. He looks like he's got a bit of swagger, Terry. He looks definitely someone's trying to make an impression. He'll have known as well as anyone. Bar a miracle, this game's over. But he never changed his attitude when he comes on. Another attacking outlet that we've got. I like what I'm seeing for Hacksaw.
I think he's got similar traits to Giakoumakis. He's got belief in his own ability. He's got belief in his own ability, and the confidence to actually go and do what he wants to do. Yeah, it's very, very, very small sample size. Obviously, two sort of cameo appearances at the end. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets a bit more game time in the next game. I think Ange will start to use the squad now because we're back to league action on Saturday. We're then back in Champions League action next week. That's just what I was checking there. So we've got Shakhtar on the 14th.
A Marian Shved led Shakhtar. He got 2 tonight. Marian Shved, believe it or not, for Shakhtar Donetsk. They pumped Leipzig away. What that does is that throws the group more wide open, right? That now means this group is going to be very much chaotic. It's going to be a group where unexpected now. Okay, many could have predicted, supporters of Shakhtar and Leipzig in particular, that Celtic will get, they'll get beat 3-0 off Real Madrid. But the context of the game is there was a lot of the unexpected, in particular in that first half, with how that game was actually playing out. And obviously a couple of borderline things going our way. It could have been a different outcome. Anyway, the point is, when you think Shakhtar, we think, oh well, they're playing in Poland for the home games, and away games. They're predominantly now just all Ukrainian based. I think there's only one Brazilian in the whole squad now. Normally they're quite a multitude of nationalities, but they go to Leipzig, a German side in the Champions League, and pump them 4-1. It gives me the fear a wee bit how good they are, but it blows the group wide open, Terry.
Yeah, Leipzig lost 4 at the weekend in their league match
Right.
as well. So that's 2 heavy
good
defeats
knowledge.
for them. I just was checking the stats just very quickly before I come on. So Shakhtar had 5 chances, 5 opportunities that resulted in a shot. 4 of them were on target, 4 of them were in the net. So that's clinical finishing from those guys, and clinical finishing from someone who wasn't quite up to the grade at Celtic Park as well.
Liam, does that highlight the difference at this level, though? Just even those stats there from Terry. You have a shot on goal at this level. You've got to get it on target. You've got to get it on target.
It's that ruthlessness that we need as well, too. I always figure, first 15 minutes, we're always missing an opportunity that could change the game. So we have to get better at finishing those ones, whether it's a Bada, a Daizan, that sort of thing. Because, as Terry just said, when you get teams out there have that clinical finishing, it shows you the one chance they get, they're putting it away. So you got to be on all the time.
Does.
I think that game tonight, Boise, will have just sapped the legs. It was obvious on the eye that the legs have been sapped.
It was like a boxing match, Terry, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know that way where you go, well, I think it's been relatively even so far. The underdog's doing all right. And then the actual reality is, see all those jabs he's been taking that maybe not looked like big hits. They've been sore as fuck, and they've just drained their energy. They've sapped them. And I think we've seen tonight what that next rung of the ladder is. But by God, guys, right? The rungs of the ladder Celtic have already climbed at a rapid rate in the last 12 to 13 months is astounding. We went to the top rung of the ladder tonight. The top rung. And okay, it was 40 minutes that we went toe-to-toe. That's what I'm calling it. It was 40 minutes as far as I'm concerned. But do you know what? That's 40 minutes more than I would have predicted this time 13 months ago, 12 months ago. I'd have said impossible for us to have played like that against Real Madrid, Terry.
I think the overriding thing that certainly I was wanting, and most of other people on the bus were wanting to see some kind of progress on the European stage from where we've been over the last 5 years, where we were last year, losing against teams that we should be expecting to win. We're not expected to beat teams like Real Madrid, but we put up a really strong performance with them. And if we focus on the positive parts of that coming out, when we do get these other 2 teams at Celtic Park, do I think that we can get the results from them? Based on what I've seen tonight, yes.
Good.
But with these games coming up, I think Saturday I'll be very, very surprised if there isn't rotation, at least 2 or 3, just to give guys a breather to get additional days into the legs. If the likes of Hatate, O'Reilly, McGregor are all going to be expected to play in these Champions League games, then I think at some point they need to sit out some of the league games, and I think this is probably the time to do it. And again, he doesn't talk much about his best team, but he's picked a very similar team in every game this season, apart from the Ross County one. He's picked a very similar team, and I think he knows his own strongest side, bar maybe 1 or 2 decisions, which will possibly be made for him by availability. But I'm thinking changes for Sunday. I'm thinking possibly a start for Moy, possibly a start for Hagbanovic, Ralston, those kind of guys.
Yeah,
remains to be seen.
Liam, at the end of the day, as Terry's saying, basically what Terry's saying, I think, is we're in the trenches now, right? This is now warfare. The season's now. This is when it's fully. We're putting the foot down on the gas now, right? This is now 2 games a week. Cup competitions. Whilst we could say, oh, it was only Ross County last midweek. We got out that. You've never sort of a crisis at Celtic, right? We got out that, and it's a crisis before the Rangers game. And remember, that's also knockout football, so we'd be out. There'd be no treble even on the horizon, no League Cup on the horizon, right? So these things get taken into account. Now it's going to be midweek, weekend, varying levels of what that competition is going to be. But next week it is back to the Champions League, and it's against the team we feel we can finish above. It's a team that we will look on paper that we can finish above. I think Terry's absolutely spot on. Livingston at home has to give us an opportunity to do a wee bit of rotation. I've got no doubts in my mind. If Hacksaw wants to start and feels like he could start, get that boy in, get him in there, and get him to cause some bother. And in the centre midfield areas as well, I think someone like Hatate, who we know has spoken openly about fatigue before in the past, fine. Manage him right this season, because I think the impact he can have in this team is honestly huge. He was passing the ball about at times that wasn't that far off what Modric was doing tonight. Don't get me wrong. As the minutes were on that second half, if I seen Modric use the outside of his boot one more time, I swear to God, I went, he's taking the piss now. It wasn't just the goal. He just started playing with the outside of his boot. I don't know if you noticed that. I went,
I totally.
It's just total quality to do that. See, if you're dominating a midfield and just passing the ball with the outside of your boot, you're verging on taking the piss. But I felt in the first half, the range of passing attack he was using was worthy of being in the company of his rival Modric. And I am pretty sure at full time there would have been a wee doff of the cap from the Croatian maestro to the likes of Rio Hatate. But Livingston at home, this is what squads are for, Liam, isn't it?
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Hatate again in the weekend just because I'm such a fan of watching that style of football. What I do want to see again on the weekend is us coming out against Livingston, and no matter who plays, us playing that exact same style again. That we don't revert back to a more casual thing, that's the big game out of the way. Ange's always talking about it doesn't matter who we play against, we're a performance-based team, and we're making that performance every time better every time we step in the pitch. And I think that's judged tonight, right? We'll look at what we did in the first half, or he'll look at the game in segments, and he'll want to look and say, okay, who did what and how they did it, right? And, who was playing well, and just sort of break it up into chunks of where we can get better. You can see now where we've improved. You look at the very last game we played last year in Europe, and this game we played against a top dog in the group, and I thought we played really well. Again, they beat us with experience. They beat us with, I don't even think they beat us that bad. It didn't seem like a 3-0 game, but they're clinical, and that's the one thing we have to get better. Just go back at it, and then maybe that's something that we can work on again and against Livingston. Get that efficiency back up there, so that when they balls are coming across, bang, back in the net, no goalie heroics, no miss hitting, no skying it, getting it on target, but on target in the back of the net. And we've been doing that good, and then I think there's a chance to play our football again. That was all I kept saying in every interview this week, that we have to play our brand of football. We're going to concentrate how we play, and I want to see that again on is it Sunday? Our game is Sunday, Saturday. Is it Saturday? I'd love to see Haksabanovic, as you said earlier, and Terry said earlier. I think he's got a lot to offer, and I didn't think Jota had that great second half, and wasn't there a lot that he did in the first half that was like, edge of your seat stuff for that. I thought some of the game passed him a little bit by, so I'd love to see him get more involved. And then let's see who we've got. I'm still interested to see some of these players we have. I want to see Bernabe coming back on.
Bernabe, yeah. Right. Well, there's got to be a lot now of these players now chomping at the bit, Terry, because you know what this does tonight, right? See that Real Madrid tie. Of course, it's the stuff of dreams to get to play against them, Terry. But do you know what I liked about Celtic tonight? I thought we left the respect at the front door as and where it should be left.
Yeah.
Welcome to Celtic Park, but once the teams crossed that line, there was no respect given to them. I didn't feel by Celtic in that first half. I liked that. I'll be honest. I thought even O'Reilly had a wee bit of dig more about him than normal, and I liked the cut of our jib. Right, I like the fact Celtic played a bit like that against Real Madrid, and it's time we start getting a wee bit more nasty at times and not being afraid to be like that. But what is most important thing, it's great to be brave and challenge and stuff, but be brave in the fucking ball. Be brave in the ball. I thought Celtic showed a lot of that, but these guys need help. They can't just go for a game that they were tiring in during the match to then playing another 90 minutes this weekend, and then the early kickoff Wednesday against Shakhtar, away from home, being expected to be at that level again. No. That's time to use the squad. But tonight, in terms of the lineup, Terry, I wouldn't have made any changes to that lineup that played today.
Yeah.
I don't know if Terry can hear me. He's on mute.
Sorry, but I could hear you.
It's all right, mate. It's all right. If I'm boring you, mate, you're fine. Don't worry.
No, there were never going to be many changes to the side. It was going to be dependent on availability. So Jens in for Starfelt and Jack Magasin for Kyoga. And that was pretty much it. I'd have been surprised if there was anything different other than that. But I do think come next Saturday, I do think we'll see 3, possibly 4 changes, and some of those guys getting a breather before the next game.
Yeah, I think it's important that we do that, because these games, what we've realised, Liam, is certain fixtures take their toll. Certain fixtures really take their toll. And I expected, I'll be honest, I thought half-time, in fact, I'll speak on behalf of a lot of people tonight, get to half-time. And I think we all thought, we'll go in there, we'll regroup, and we'll go back out and start the same way we started the first half. But what had actually happened was the players, I'm guessing a wee bit, no, not in a bad way. This isn't a criticism, by the way, at all. I think they went in there at half-time and went, oh yeah, fucker, I'm gubbed. And you could see it, Liam, Mike, when they've came back out, that pace that you've expected after a 15-minute break just wasn't quite there. And you know what? There was also another side to it where maybe a wee bit of Real Madrid it took them 35, 40 minutes to, these are wily old pros. I mean, folk can talk about the age being a bad thing. Sometimes it's the biggest plus to have as a footballer as well. Modric has seen, high press. Never seen that before. I passed round you before like mannequins, and I'll do it again tonight. Sometimes it just takes them time to adapt. And if you've not punished us during the time we were adapting, you'll get found out. But
I think Boyce, there was aspects where we could have just managed the game a little bit more cleverly. So not necessarily changing from the way Ange wants to play, but I had made sort of note around about the 53rd minute.
I love that you take notes.
We had got a goal kick. I wouldn't be able to remember anything. We got a goal kick, and I felt that the team were spent. I felt they were fucked. And Joe Hart has tried to take a quick free kick. He's played it to somebody who really doesn't want it because he's fucked as well. And we've lost possession. And within a minute and a half, we've then lost the first goal. And I think there are just times where, yes, we know the way the manager wants us to play. That is the way we want to play. But just looking around, 9 of the 10 players are blown out of their arse. The ball's gone behind the net. I could wait for somebody else to go and get it. I could set it up. I could fix my socks. I could fix my shorts. I could do a couple of dummy run-ups. I could buy us 20 seconds just to get a little bit of air into the lungs and
I hear
go
you.
again. I go again.
I hear you on that. I think what you did find as well, even in the first half when we're having our best spells, it's amazing how Real Madrid don't play in our league, but we're very wise to the fact we might be pretty sharp at taking quick free kicks and quick throw-ins. They were, don't get me wrong, at times we had a wee bit of joy out of it, but on the whole, it looks like Real Madrid are a team that do their homework. Can't be said for the opposition at the weekend.
I think you have to say they gave us a bit of respect. Sometimes in the early stages of this competition, they use that as their opportunity to rest players for La Liga matches. And again, I don't see every Real Madrid match, but that looked pretty constant with what their top side would be.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is as well, there was some guys there that, Benzema came off today, Liam. Now, I know Celtic Twitter, right, is basically just, it's turned into just a cesspit, right, of people wanting to quote tweet any other Celtic fan that they don't know, or they don't meet outside the ground, they don't meet in the pub after, or don't like every post that they put up. And, one tweet I read by quite a prominent one was slagging off people for giving rounds of applause to the likes of Benzema when he goes off, and calling it calling it tourist attraction stuff. No. I'm sorry. I'll define that for you. It's when our own are posting quotes by Vinicius Jr., who's been directly asked the question. He's never been to Celtic in his life about the atmosphere, and I'm giving the token answer. I've heard it's amazing. And us putting that in italics with a green background and in white writing. That's the shite we need to get away from. Celtic as a fan base, as a live audience, when world-class players go off the park injured or other world-class players depart the park later on in the game. I've got nothing against us giving a wee, fair play, a wee bit of respect, not cheering and whistling for them. But I think that's classy. That's not the tourist stuff. The tourist stuff is us getting all dewy-eyed about any player that said Celtic's atmosphere was like nothing else. I can't be fucked with all that. Do you know what I mean? And I think at times that's became a bit of the tourist stuff. But I don't mind us staying a wee bit classy when it comes to a Benzema on the verge of his Ballon d'Or at 35. We must be one of the oldest, if not the oldest, ever win it. And he's had to go off for a knee injury. I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that at all. I think Celtic's, but I suppose I'm going against a lot of the other points I make. You know what I mean? Because I also want it to be hostile as fuck, and I can't deny that. But I always felt like, even in my short footballing memory, I say short because I like the kid on, I'm 19 still, But, in my footballing sort of memory, when Celtics had a hostile atmosphere, I think there's been moments of respect shown to, a wee bit of footballing brilliance or footballing great and stuff, and we're capable of that. What I did feel, though, was, again tonight, there's that gap between the Champions League anthem, which I don't know how you felt when that went off and you hear the roar. It's like the first time you've ever seen it all over again, Liam. Like, every hair on my arm was on end. I stood up. I was just standing in front of the telly, like. What is that? What is that feedback? Is that coming for you, Liam?
It was a motorcycle just went past.
A motorcycle? What, the Batmobile?
Okay, well, it could have been a bike gang for all that in here.
But
just talking about the roar of the crowd, that was the roar of the street,
do you think,
you know what I want to see one day? I want to see one of our players going off at the Bernabeu or the San Siro or something, and them getting clapped off. You know what I mean?
Like Jinky was.
Aye, like just one of the games where you just come as like a Larson or something and see the fans. There is fans that do it throughout. You'll get that happening in Germany and in some places and that as well. And I think there's something about a big occasion, a big night, seeing somebody like Benzema coming up and play as well. And it's advices like Neymar would never get clapped off the pitch because I think it's like we're not happy clappers. There's certain players that play a certain way that we like, that I think we see some of our values in, and it's good to appreciate that as well.
We're a classy club, man. We're a classy club. And by the way, I don't want it to be a stage where, before they've kicked the ball at Celtic Park, they were all going, oh, welcome aboard. And I'm so glad you said your token fucking quote that this is meant to be the best atmosphere in the world. I liked what Ancelotti was saying about it. He was kind of quite cutting about it, I've been here 3 times, I've not won. He almost sounded a bit pissed off that was on his CV, if you like. And I thought, do you know what? Does that not epitomise everything to you? That the best manager, the most decorated manager in world football right now has never won at Celtic Park. But a certain generation of fans, are buzzing that players that have played there once in their life that have won, a couple of trophies, I've said Celtic Park's amazing, and we celebrate that like a trophy. Not for me, but I think when the odd top player like Benzema goes off injured, I don't mind a round of applause for that. In terms of the atmosphere before the game, that intimidation factor, Terry, that is an issue for me with that gap after the Champions League anthem to kick off. Now, as far as I'm aware, Celtic get fined for waving Palestinian flags. Teams are now encouraged to wave Ukrainian flags. I don't get political, by the way. This is just an observation from the outside. Surely, both are political messages, but also just supporting a country of their choice. Celtic have been fined consistently for Palestinian flags. You'll never see a team, fined for waving a Ukrainian flag, despite the fact there's always 2 sides to an argument. UEFA have clearly decided that in the instance of Palestine. So I'm sure there'll be other people make a case for not the Ukrainian thing. Why the fuck not just turn on that PA full bung after the Champions League anthem and see what they do against you? I don't get it. And I think the atmosphere, you watched it, we tried to keep going after the anthem, and then there was just that 2 minutes before kickoff. It just goes quiet again, and the fans are having to generate it. Where I am telling you now, sound the klaxon, the Martin O'Neill era, it was pandemonium right up to kickoff. Because the Champions League anthem would finish, we just stick on the Celtic song. In fact, I'm sure there was a game we did You'll Never Walk Alone. And then it would just be, just cut the music before kickoff and let the fans sing it. Even if you just played the piano for like 2 chords, done. So you've not played it, just play the piano for 2. When you walk, done. And then that, whilst the Real Madrid team have to kick off, there's called a fair advantage dictated by the supporters that you've got. I just feel right now there is a gap, and I don't give a shit about UEFA's rules because we get fined almost every European game anyway.
So is there a rule, Boise, then that no other song is to be initiated by the club music system after?
It must be that.
Maybe publishing rights. Might be publishing rights as well. That's going through like an international audience. Like most of the reason you don't see films released across other countries, a lot of it is because the music rights don't travel. And so it could be something like that. Whereas if you've got Rangers starting playing Simply the Best, right? Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know if they would have to pay issue rights on that if that's getting broadcast, you know, like through every country in the world. You know, because
there's nothing to stop the fans going into song.
No, nothing to stop the fans. But if you play it on the tannoy, then that's considered broadcasting.
It's getting played on the tannoy though before the anthem, Liam. No, it definitely is. So it can't be that. It can't be. I think it's UEFA after the anthem. That's to be the last bit of music played over the PA, and I think that's just one of their stupid wee rules.
Yeah, it's brand management, right? That's them trying to manage the brand and, you know,
take the hit of the fine.
They can sell it to somebody else, you know.
Would you not take the hit of that fine? Because we get fined almost every European game anyway. I would just go, fuck it. What are they actually going to charge you for playing? Play 3 chords, You'll Never Walk Alone. And let those players, as they're lining up, you're not lining up, obviously they've done all that, standing there for the anthem. But as they're going into the formation, we're doing the huddle, You'll Never Walk Alone's play, getting sang from the stands. That would be more effective for me. More effective than it, because it finished and Just Can't Get Enough was played. You know, and you just felt, fucking hell, that's not intimidating Real Madrid during the tunnel. Okay. Do you know, it Just Can't Get Enough they played the song in its entirety. Then it's the Champions League stuff, and then it's 5 minutes of calm. And I'm maybe looking at, you know, any wee trick in the book to try and get an advantage, but sometimes you need it when you look at the quality opposition we're against tonight, Terry.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just wondering, could Liam have played a few extra notes in his guitar just as he's heading off the pitch, just to get the thing started, and then leg it down the tunnel?
That would be brilliant. Liam McGrandles is the man, mate. You know,
I think he was out in the pitch tonight again, was he?
He was. He was out in the pitch again. A lad for Denny, Liam McGrandles. I mean, check out his music. I've known him so long now. It's unbelievable. Like, he's a pal, like his sound. But he's now the guy playing on the pitch, Liam Greenlaw. He's now the guy playing on the pitch, and, you know, for the, you know, watching his career grow. I know all the pubs he played. He played in my pub. Do you know what I mean? And now he's playing at Celtic Park. It's just outstanding. But anyway, we will call it there. It was a night I think we can all be proud of, guys. And I'll leave the final word to you two. We'll go around the houses. Terry, rest of this European campaign, have we started on a positive note or one that gives you cause for concern?
No, I'm okay. I think we'll know more in a week's time when we've played Shakhtar, because if they were to give us a defeat and they're sitting on 6 points and Real Madrid are potentially sitting on 6 points, it's going to be tough to get back there for the top 2 places. That would also mean Leipzig would be on 0, we would be on 0. I don't see any reason to be concerned about those 2 other teams. We've still got 4 matches left. The first half performances gave me real confidence that either of those 2 teams coming to Celtic Park are going to have to play at their best to to live with that. And hopeful then that we get the breakthrough goals. That gives us the extra charge in the legs to see the game out. But as you said, we're not going to get as much of a chasing from either of those two as we did. It's not going to take as long to get the ball back. You're not going to use as much energy getting the ball back. I'm very confident for those two home games, and the away games we'll just have to wait and see. I think the overall thing I want to take out of this Champions League season is progression. I just want there to be a sign that we are better than we were last year. We're better than we were the year before in this European stage, and that we're going in the right direction. And just listening to the BT pundits very quickly after the game and things like that, and I think that's kind of sort of the knowledgeable man's view is, yes, Celtic were soundly beaten in the end here, but the signs are positive. They point as if things are going in the right direction with a young and energetic team.
Liam, on to yourself. Positivity, though, will need to mean points at some point. Are you still feeling optimistic? There were 5 games still left of the group stage, 4 of those against teams that, two sides that we definitely would rather be playing than Real Madrid. I take it you're still feeling pretty optimistic how this European campaign can result.
I went into this game and thinking we could beat them. And that's something I've not had before many European games. Even with
that does speak volumes. Aye.
So to come to that place right there where you've got like an optimism in the crowd, and I don't think there was anyone that went there and said, "Oh, we're going to get worse tonight." No, and it was the opposite. What I hope we take away from this is I hope it shows up in how we play against Livingston. I don't want to see one of these European hangovers where, okay, let's take the feet off the pedal and slack passes or anything like that. I think this has to be used to opportunity for, as we said before, those that need a rest get a rest. But those that are looking to make a claim for the team to get in that next European game, let's see how they respond and how they play against Livingston. And then when we get to play Shakhtar, whoever it is, we'll see who the right men for the team is that night as well. Because that could change. Let's see how we respond to that. Because in a sense, beating them 4-0 last week, if we follow this week,
Well, I think you're absolutely spot on. I think this weekend, that my honest truth is, I think we come back fighting. I think this side's got a mad attitude to it now that we really need to appreciate. And we got done in eventually tonight. We just got worn down. We got beaten by better players, whether we want to admit that or not. They just are, right? But I do think the attitude's spot on. I think, Liam, there will be changes made to the starting lineup, but not to the attitude or the philosophy of the team. I think we play Livingston. I think it'll actually be, fuck's sake, we've actually finally lost. Now we go out, smash them, double down on that 4-0 win that we got last week. As you were saying, they've got to go to Patoja, by the way, on the Sunday. And it's brilliant watching Bob still up the right in the comments, feeling callous that Celtic have lost to Real Madrid. Wherever he gets his kicks, fucking hell. But I just feel we know there's an opportunity for us. We win, we got 8 clear this weekend. 8 fucking points clear, and they have to go to Aberdeen, 3rd place Aberdeen, under Jim Goodwin. I'm pretty confident we'd love to get a win over them as well. And I think you're right, though. If whatever the reaction is to the team lineup changes that he makes, I certainly think he'll still play a part in what lineup he goes for in the fixture against Shakhtar away. 100% agree with that. I'm very confident that this side's going to come away from 12. I think they'll be devastated. I think, like Terry said at the top of the show, he felt gutted. But with perspective, you'll go, do you know what? There was a lot of good things to take away from that. And if we take those good things into Shakhtar Donetsk away, we've got a chance. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining the Boise Bus. That is just after 11. Got to call it quits there. We've all got day jobs. We can't all just be full-time pundits as much as we'd all love to be. Liam Greenlaw in Canada, thank you so much for joining us. Terry Robb, the face of P.M.P, joining us as well.
Thank you, Boise.
Have a great night. Hail, hail. Cheers.
See ya.
His comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.